There's never been a better time to position yourself, package yourself for the marketplace, for you to get recognized, for you to get respected. People have to know about you. Without authority, you're a commodity. A commodity has limited value in society, where a brand is an asset. Invest in your asset.
Welcome to the Inside Forbes Councils podcast. Each episode shares transformative insights and advice from members of Forbes Councils, a group of invitation-only communities for successful executives and entrepreneurs. This is Inside Forbes Councils.
Hey everyone, this is Stephen Ganoza. Welcome to Inside Forbes Councils. Today we have my interview with Jon Michail, founder and group CEO of Image Group International. Image Group International is committed to building, growing, and monetizing personal brands for entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers. We discussed how and why you need to invest in your personal brand, even if you're relatively unknown and don't have any particular extraordinary talent or story, and why people who ignore personal branding are setting themselves up to be disadvantaged in an increasingly competitive job market. Okay, so first question, just tell us a little bit about what Image Group International does.
So my job at Image Group International is after we package and position our clients, they become recognized as authentic personal brands with authority. We take overall their life experience and monetize it. Our typical clients are everything from Forbes 500 companies to SMEs, entrepreneurs, politicians, and even celebrities. So we worked across a range of clients over the years, and I think we're known as the most eclectic personal brand managers on the planet.
So, but you're certainly not the only brand managers on the planet. What makes you different?
What makes us different is, well, we hope this makes us different because this is what our clients tell us: is there's no fluff, no BS. It's just solid, proven advice based on success from our clients. So real world experience and expertise. You know, in life, you can have a lot of experience, but not actually expertise. So we have the runs on the board, proven testimonials and case studies to prove, of course, our results. And our system, Brand Me, we call it the original personal branding prosperity system, has had over 7,500 one-on-one personal consultations, over 120,000 people in seminars, workshops, and it's a proven success with leaders, from billion-dollar companies to founders in startups. The final bit that makes us unique is we're independent, we're unbiased, and we're conflict-free as an advisory.
So explain that a little bit. What is that like? Why is that an advantage to be conflict-free as an advisory, and what does that mean?
Basically, our advice is based on your solid empowerment, you. So we're not trying to sell you anything other than what's best for you. And at times, because we're a coaching organization, some of the things we would advise might actually push your buttons a little bit, right? But that's what helps your transformation and your authenticity, to bring you at the other end with something that's uniquely you as opposed to a cardboard cutout of somebody that really is not you. And in today's online world, there's a lot of what we would call is superficial fakery around personal brands as opposed to true authenticity.
Can you give an example of the difference?
Basically, this is not about, just building your profile on social media and looking good from a social media perspective, but in the real world, you feel fairly empty and unreal. So that's the difference. Now, how do we do that is because we're coaches, we have the skills, the expertise to really bring out unearth your talents, your story, your whole way of being that basically at times, has not happened previously because for whatever reason, you've sort of held back, or you were embarrassed or shy, or you didn't want to make yourself look bad. Right. So this is about bringing out the real you. And in today's world, with fake news and all the other stuff going on, you better be seen as real. Otherwise, you're not going to be trusted.
So are your clients then already people who are known? Like you mentioned politicians.
No, no. We. That's why I said at the start we're eclectic. So we have total unknowns that we make known, and we have knowns that really are looking for something else. And what makes us unique is you could say, well, they could go to a PR agency. No, they do something totally different. And agencies normally don't coach. Our whole model is threaded with a whole coaching conversation that's designed to bring out again who you really are, not as something fake that's going to look good in the media, but in the end, behind the scenes, it's something totally different. Our work is real. Our work is basically designed to bring out who you really, your authentic self, from the perspective though also, and to do that, you've got to make yourself at times vulnerable. So depending who the client is, if they are not willing to become vulnerable, they normally don't become good clients for us.
So I'm wondering if you can, maybe without being specific, just share an example of this.
Okay, so I can give you so many case studies. So a typical example is ex-Olympian came to us, and basically very, very high profile. He was having some obviously issues after all his publicity and stuff that he was doing sort of away from the track, let's just say. And our job was really to reframe him, okay, and reposition his brand. The problems we had with him initially were that he wasn't willing to be vulnerable. He just wanted a makeover that makes him look good in the public, but in the end, behind the scenes, he wasn't willing to sort of really change. Our work supported him to really get clear that if he didn't do some of the work and some of the things we're expecting of him, since he came to us for help, then it's not going to work. It's all going to be fake. So from a process of conversations and some coaching work, we changed his whole cognitive around how he saw himself. And I'm talking about all sorts of stuff was going on, including, on the personal side and also on the business side. There was a transformation that happened with this particular person that took him from, he was already very well known, okay? But it took him to not what was happening now, but we were cementing his future. We future paced him where he really had to be, right? And basically what happened was, from taking on these particular coaching exercises we did with him over a period of time, and other work that we did, by the way, online, offline, this guy got his life back together, even if he was, an Olympian. And today, specifically, he's running a very successful life, not only from a business point of view, but also from a family point of view. He's more grounded, he's more centered, okay, and he's more together. So, that was one example. But of course, I've got a lot of other business examples that actually are designed around money and promotions and that sort of stuff. But that's a quick example I thought I'd share with you.
Well, we do want to get into the business aspect of this, because I think the majority of people watching this are the Forbes Councils members, right?
There's many examples regarding from a business point of view, growth. Clients are coming to us virtually for three things, if I can round them up: sex, money, and power. Okay? And what do they mean? Okay? What does that mean? Sex means relationships in all forms, okay, one-on-one and universal. Money is the obvious one. And power specifically means leadership. It means basically promotion, positional power. It means reputation, okay, status, okay. So they're all coming, but they're all broken normally around those three areas, depending what the subject is. And that's why we're very eclectic. There's nothing that we haven't dealt with, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Okay. There's a lot of, as long as the client's vulnerable and says, hey, I'm throwing all my cards on the table, I want help, miracles can happen. But what that means is you got to become, you got to bring out your vulnerability. You can't just fake it here and pretend everything's perfect and so on. That's just going to be a waste of time long term.
So let's take it from the viewpoint of somebody who maybe doesn't have notoriety from sports or some other accomplishment, right? they could be vulnerable, but who's going to care? So like how do you build up somebody who doesn't have, I guess, notoriety already through some other means?
So basically, people that are unknown, in most cases, have bought the myth that it's all about talent. And talent at times can be overrated. And let me give you the example. You get taught from an early age, be a good boy, be a good girl, follow the rules, go to school, get educated, and you've done all of that. You come out with your degree, your piece of paper, and what happens? You're going looking for a job, and guess what happens? Everyone has got similar skills to you from an educational point of view. So then they go and get more degrees and, might end up with a PhD or whatever. Everyone's trying to differentiate themselves, right? Okay. But that doesn't mean anything in a very, very crowded market and a crowded world. Okay. That's not going to really get you to stand out. So assuming you've already got skills, talents, and, you feel really good about yourself. And even if you don't feel good about yourself, part of our job is to take on everything that you're on about, including as an unknown person, and package that together and create something that's going to be recognized as an authority in the world. But when I say authority, I'm not using the cliche that's overused today by people that have got no idea what authority means. Authority is, and I'm not talking about just from a social media point of view as an influencer. I'm talking about offline, online. Okay. So that, an unknown person, we have many examples of that. So I'll give you one great example. One of my early clients came to me. He was unemployed. He was broke, but he was very ambitious. And he grew up in a middle class family, but his family obviously had different experiences along the way. And he came to me for help. And he first came to me, and I took him on. He wasn't my typical client, but I liked him, and I saw something in him. Well, that particular client, after, we did a bit of consulting with him, we then put a whole project together for him. Now, the project, he couldn't really afford me. Mm-hmm. So what this guy did was he went to his accountant and asked him for advice, what he should do. His accountant said, don't waste your time. Okay. Remember, this is very important because you're either in growth mindset or you're in fixed. Okay. This guy was in growth mindset. So what he did was he paid me $10,000 on a credit card that he had, bad credit, right? Okay. But he put on a credit card. Of course, my commitment to him was to make this work. So we worked really hard and gave him, a lot more than he expected, where that positioned him for his first serious job interview for a company in the space that he wanted to be. And it was around personal development. Well, he got that position from $10,000. I think the first position he got was around $80,000. Okay, because he had something. Mm-hmm. He had initiative, he had perspective. And people saw that, but we packaged it, right? Including, his LinkedIn profile, everything basically was positioned in a way where he would go and see an employer and the employer was happy. Well, he got that position. From that, over 2 years, he became a shareholder in that business because they gave him shares, eventually earned around $300,000 a year. And finally, he bought out the company. And today the company is worth well over $10 million. Now, this is a guy that was totally unemployed. But he had an attitude, he had a spirit about him that said, hire me. So that was a great success story. Of course, he's got a family now. He's a very, very accomplished guy. Sometimes you're going to do things that you've been told along the way maybe you shouldn't be doing. And from a perspective of his brand, his personal brand, he's recognized today. He's an author. He runs workshops. He does JVs. He's a different guy than the guy that first came and saw me 7 years ago.
Wow, that's incredible. You touched on the idea that that academia might not be the best path, or might be overrated, or whatever, or might not be the best way to differentiate yourself.
Well, just have a look at this, right? In this current climate right now, and this is to be really respectful and I respect academia big time, right? But your MBA is not going to save you. What you're going to need is street smartness. what you're going to need is all the skills you've never been taught before. Okay, because that's what's going to get you at the front of the line. And that means if you're running your own small business right now and you want to basically attract clientele, doing it the old way doesn't work right now. So from a branding point of view, you better do something that's going to get you noticed. And if you're in business, including our Forbes Council members, what of course is essential is that you do sales, right? Leads into sales. If you're unknown, you have no authority, why would people buy you?
Let's be a little bit more specific. Like you mentioned your LinkedIn profile, you've mentioned social media generally. What are some of the platforms or tools that unknowns should be using to try to build some of that authority?
Okay, so let's start off from the basics. First of all, people aren't buying into your business. They're investing in you. Everything is about relationships in life. So the first definitely is look the part. That's as basic and simple as you can get. And of course, a lot of people get that wrong, including today from a Zoom perspective. Look professional. Don't buy the myths out there sold by people that say, oh, just that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Normally, in my experience, and I've been doing this a long time, you're either in the empowerment business or you're in the disempowerment. But disempowerment looks like empowerment, but it's actually disempowerment. You just don't know what's going on. You don't get to see that until later, right? Basically, that's a good first step. Second step is, of course, building your reputation if you already haven't done that. Of course, in the old days, it was known as your CV or whatever, right? But you got to package your expertise together. Pack it all together. And then, of course, get that out to the world. So in our program, for the benefit of your viewers, we have the build section. If you can imagine a pyramid, it's the build section where we look at your foundations, everything about you, getting all that right. The second part becomes the promotion, how to get the messages out there. That's using the mediums. And we've mentioned all types of social media, depending who your personas are, your marketplace. And the last bit is what we call is our cash in. Cash in is the results, right? And the results end up normally for a lot of clients, it's of course money, right? Make more money. For some of clients, it's reputation. And I have many clients that don't really care so much about the money anymore, right? But they're very, very, very cognizant of their reputation. And the last one is legacy. And legacy is normally clients, 50 plus that are looking at leaving something behind. That's the sort of model. And there's all these things in between that. So from a practical point of view, you got to get your foundations right. What's happening in today's world is people want to become authorities, but they really haven't got their foundations right. So they go and create a social media profile, but the foundations are all, based on what we would call is shifting sands. Mm-hmm. Our branding model is not based on the Kardashian model, okay? Okay. This is based on something solid and authentic. It's basically getting it right on the foundations. And by the way, that's where our experience comes in. We unearth exactly what your expertise is, and then we package that before we go into promotion mode. A lot of people want to promote, but they haven't got their foundations right. That's a serious problem because over time that will eventually collapse, especially if it hasn't been positioned properly.
What's an example of a foundation?
The foundations are, basically values, your purpose, all the things that are really you, that make you, your authentic you. So we go through a whole comprehensive interview with all our clients designed to draw out your history, your story, all the great things you've done along the way that you might not even have recognized. Okay, so we get all these foundations. That's what we call, the starting point, right? We're building a house right now. We better get the foundations right. Otherwise, if you don't, potentially can collapse. So we draw out everything about you, what you've done, what you haven't done, your successes, your failures, okay? Everything about you, or as much as you'd like to share with us. And then, basically we go to the next stage once you've shared that with us. But we ask, we ask a lot of questions about you, okay? Because we got to get to know you first before the world starts to discover you. So that sort of hopefully makes a little bit of sense to you.
It does. It does. Let's move into current times, right? The world is kind of upside down at the moment, right? Why should people like worry about their personal brand now? It kind of seems like a slow priority, but why is it a good time to actually think about this?
Awesome. There's no better time. There is no better time. You've got unemployment. America hit unemployment of 30 million registrants this week. Yeah. How are you going to differentiate yourself in the marketplace? That question, and by the way, it's a great question. It's an honest question, and I really respect it. But if anyone's out there thinking about that like it's not important, that's fine. I'm not out to change anyone's mind, really. But the reality is, have a look. Whoever's known out there and still has a job, right? Let's talk about senior positions, right? That are a little bit more visible, okay? They have definitely a positioning in the marketplace. They are known. We know, and so the importance of this is with what's going on and the unfortunate situation of, where unemployment, especially for, executives, business people, entrepreneurs, if you haven't got a brand today, you're treated as a commodity. Why do you build a brand? Because you become an asset. Assets are worth value. They have value. Commodities are worth very little. So the idea here is to bring out your highest value. So I mentioned before in the foundations, we bring out your values, but now this is to monetize your values, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's to monetize your values. So personal branding is more important than ever. I can't stress that enough to you. And, it's funny. Just yesterday, I got a client from a big recruiter, makes a lot of money, but basically says, hey, I've been sort of a little bit hidden here. I've been sort of operating under the radar. And the company, one of my big clients that I'm working for, might potentially be taken over in an M&A, and my job, my position will not be required. She said to me, what do I do now? Should I reposition myself? I said, of course. I said, remember what I said to you 6 months ago? We had to start, but now, right, because desperation is coming, let's quickly do it. It wasn't a priority that's okay. This is fairly common with a lot of clients, by the way. Okay. So now the idea right now is I said, well, great. Okay. So the M&A will happen. And I promise you in 3 months' time, whatever deal you do, it's going to be a minimum 2x, if not 10x, what you were going to do before you were branded. Branding basically builds your value. It's your positioning. And just have a look at Forbes, right? Forbes is a brand, extraordinary brand, right? Since 1917, right? That's an unbelievable story of branding. So so your organization is a great example of why branding works.
I want to get a little bit more detail here.
Please.
So for somebody who is an executive, senior executive, give me an example of a brand. Thinking about social media, I quickly went to like
Elon Musk.
Okay.
Elon Musk is one of the most extraordinary brands on the planet with Tesla. And if you study Elon, just study this. Tesla, right? He actually, that in itself was a brand. Mm-hmm. Utilizing Tesla, he basically is the epitome of a personal brand linking in with a corporate brand, and the two are intertwined like this. Yeah. So that's probably one of the best current examples right now of branding at the best level. And guess what? With Elon Musk, he doesn't spend virtually any money on advertising.
Yeah.
That's what personal branding does. Personal branding actually gets you to be bought without you selling.
So Elon Musk is an interesting example. Like, is the suggestion then to find a way to be a little bit outrageous?
Oh, well, look, if that's part of your personal brand, for sure, okay? But that's called authenticity. I mean, what if we're all going to be cardboard cutouts? Is that what life's all about? You're going to have eccentrics out there. You're going to have versatile personalities that bring out their spirit in different ways. Elon Musk is a good example of that. But even Donald Trump, your president, right?
Yeah.
He's an extraordinary personal brand. I'm not going to get into politics, I'm talking about branding. It's very important because I've done many conversations on Donald Trump, and it's like, oh, it's like, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about branding, positioning. That's another great example. Oprah Winfrey, from an entertainment point of view, is an extraordinary brand. Okay, so Sheryl Sandberg, right? Okay, and these are all examples of great branding. Now, some clients ask me, were they intentional in their branding? Look, make no mistakes. People at the top know the power of positioning. They normally have teams behind the scenes, including, people like me that are working behind the scenes to make them, to bring out their spirit, we'll call it, okay? Bring out who they really are, their story, and make them, of course, look good. Our work is about doing that authentically, and it's times from a vulnerability point of view, you might not be so perfect. This is not about being perfect, but it's about you coming out, bringing out your story. You've got too much to contribute to the planet in this lifetime by hiding away and not being known.
Great message. So I mean, not everybody's going to have the resources to hire somebody like you or the time.
Sure.
And right now the world's kind of crazy. People's kids are home, and money could be tight if you're unemployed. So, assuming they don't hire somebody like you, what's one thing that everybody can basically do now to improve their personal brand?
Okay, so the first thing they should do is really do a self-analysis on their values and their purpose, why they're here. Okay, so you got to get back to the foundations. You got to unearth some of that information, and so that's a good self-reflection exercise. Okay, anyway, you should do that anyway. Okay, as opposed to just plodding along in life, hoping that things will all work out. So as you get clear, and this is actually a great time to do that, especially through this crisis, because you've got hopefully a little bit more time on your hands. And from that, in on a very simplistic level, then definitely, you create your LinkedIn profile as an example, especially from a business point of view. And LinkedIn for me is an essential tool in reference to positioning yourself, in reference to promotions, in reference to business deals and JVs. So all of this is essential. And from there, really, depending again where you're at home or whatever, that's like a good basic start. I could talk about your Twitter profile and your Facebook and so on. But right now, and that's all relevant, by the way, depending where you're at. But from building your positioning right now, that's a good start. Then, of course, if you want to start getting some publicity, okay, and getting known, of course, writing, blog articles, but all of that, because every man and his dog says the same thing, you better have something important to say. And if you're going to just do content for the sake of content, for me, it's a waste of time. There is too much noise out there. And that's why branding is essential. It's what brings you out and gets you noticed. So from the point of view then of your writing or a blog article or an interview, definitely that's all essential because it's getting your key messages out there. A bit like what we're doing today, but and you've got to do that. I mean, everything I'm telling you is what we walk the talk. It's basically you've got to put yourself out there. If you're afraid to put yourself out there, there should be no reason. But if you are afraid because for whatever reason, you don't want to make yourself vulnerable, you're too shy, public speaking is an issue with you or whatever, drop that. The world, as we know it, has transformed forever. There's a new game in town now. So you got a choice. You're either going to learn what the new game with a set of unwritten rules are, or keep on doing it the old way. The old way will only get you what it got you. And basically, if you're under pressure right now, well, the old way is not going to work anymore. Mental health is going crazy from an internal point of view, internal image point of view. People are really suffering right now. Okay, this is designed to actually bring you together. Okay, of course, I'm giving you the quick, dirty version. Okay, from a coaching point of view, there's a lot of thought and insight that goes into our Socratic style of questioning. But from a simple point of view, you can do some of this yourself, at least to get you started. But on a very basic level, get your LinkedIn profile spot on anyway. I can't tell you how many people 5 years ago did not have a LinkedIn profile, maybe even 2 years ago.
Really?
I promise you, yeah, including senior executives. And I know it's strange, but what happens is, Stephen, when people are in great positions, complacency sets in. And what they think is life's always going to be like this. They cannot imagine a crisis or a situation that, like, especially the one that we got into today, or these days, where I don't think many people would have predicted that. But at the same time, my approach is from a growth mindset. It's always to create something for the future, always creating, as opposed to a fixed mindset. Fixed mindsets today will be in trouble. I can tell you that now. And think about what I'm saying here. Even if you've got a think mindset from a mental health perspective, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in serious trouble if you already are not in trouble. But you don't have to stay there. You can get out of there. It's your choice. And personal branding also is your choice.
It's all great advice. So basically, I should go work on my TikTok profile then, right?
Well, TikTok is another market altogether, right? Okay. I know you. No. Do some good stuff with Forbes. Forbes is a great brand, a great association, and I think it's great that you're there. By the way, yeah, I'm happy to talk to you off the record about that. Definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. I am terrible at this stuff because I grew up doing corporate video for an investment bank. And every piece of content had to be reviewed by like 5 brand managers and 5 lawyers. So I am absolutely terrified of putting anything out onto the web because I'm like, I don't have compliance sign off on this.
I hear you. I can see why you would feel that way. But you know what? And I'm not yanking your chain right now. You're a good interviewer because you ask, obviously, you do this, right? Okay, you're actually, and you have definitely an opportunity to position yourself. No question about that. I'm telling you now. Okay. Video guys, I work with video guys all the time. They are the best guys. They're all down to earth, natural. They just want to shoot or interview, right? But they are behind the camera, right? Okay. But it's like I told the journalist, a writer, when she first came to see me, I said, do you want to just write or do you want to be on 60 Minutes, right? And today, as you know very well in video, there's nothing more powerful, podcasts and so on, that you're going to get your messages out there, including the visual. The visual is essential. The visual is so much more valuable than the written word. Yes, at least, in my opinion, 6 times more, right? Okay, so, but of course they all matter. Everything matters. Okay, so this is an opportunity, yeah, and you're in a great space. I'm not joking. I can see. So this is the thing. I can see my clients what they can't see in themselves. That's my gift.
That kind of sounds like a challenge.
Very few people on the planet do everything by themselves. Very few. They are unique, right? Elon Musk, even, although he's one of these guys who just does it, right? But he still has a whole team behind him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And the danger is, from my clients is basically, what's the word? Wolves that just work by themselves. What's the word? Solo.
Lone wolf.
Lone wolves.
Yeah.
Okay. Lone wolves. I've got quite a few clients that are lone wolves as well. They're very good at what they do, highly intelligent, very skilled. But lone wolves, basically, in the end, in most cases, die disappointed because they had all this great stuff about them, but the world didn't discover it.
Interesting.
And that's sad. Of course, and even with some of my clients, I've shared that with them. Of course, at the start was like, oh, they didn't want to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but part of my job is to confront, so I can bring out what's going on, so I can move forward with it, right? Because why are we working together otherwise, right? So, over time, I've had a lot of success in breaking through that. And then specifically, it's about getting your voice out. Everyone's looking to get their voice out one way or the other. And personal branding, from our perspective, plays a major, major role in getting you known out there. Because if you don't get known, no one knows. I mean, you live a life with people that don't know about you. You don't get to sort of experience, a lot of the value that you've actually got that you haven't maximized, you haven't monetized. So, Stephen, personal branding. There's never been a better time to position yourself, package yourself for the marketplace. If it's going to be for your business, your career, or your personal attributes, i.e., authorship, podcast, and so on. Why? Because we're living in a very crowded, noisy world, other than, of course, the most disruptive in living memory. So for you to get noticed, for you to get recognized, for you to get respected, people have to know about you. Without authority, you're a commodity. A commodity has limited value in society, where a brand is an asset. Invest in your asset.
John, this was great. Thank you so much.
You're a champion.
All right. Thank you.
Keep on smiling.
Thank you.
See you, Stephen.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, mate. Bye-bye.
If you'd like to hear more on positioning yourself,
the winner isn't the one who is the best, isn't the one who's got the best degree, isn't the one who's performing the most. The real winner to me is the one who doesn't give up.
if you haven't already, check out episode 62, where Forbes Technology Council member Noah Kamala, co-founder of Charge, shares his story of finding success as an entrepreneur despite never having finished school, and the power of persistence and demonstrating value in gaining opportunities. Well, that's all we have for today. As always, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.
This has been Inside Forbes Councils. Please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're a member of the Forbes Councils and would like to participate in our podcast series, please email your member concierge. If you're interested in joining a Forbes Council, learn more at ForbesCouncils.com.